Welcome back, my cozy friends. I am back with a new edition. But before I tell my story, let's go back to the 6th of March, 3:45 a.m, where everything happened. I felt a sudden pop in my sleep, which instantly got me rushing up, and I had to call my husband over. At the time, we slept separately to catch up on sleep. How do you feel?
I think when you called me that I was G'd up.
Why?
Because I'm like, oh shit, it's go time. But then after getting up, it seems pretty chill.
Yeah. Because currently we're sleeping in separate rooms because he said that he can't sleep, so he wanted more sleep. So I had to call him.
Yep.
Because I didn't want water to go all over the floor. But anyways, and we just saw our friend a few hours ago, and we were just saying that, guessing a new date for when thingy comes. Anyways, gonna pack. Haven't finished packing our stuff. So, on the way to the hospital, and I thought once the water is broken and the water's all gushed out and that's it. That is not what happened. We all got our stuff and got in the car, and then there was like another gush of water that just like pissed everywhere, and I can't even control how to sit here and wait for my pants to soak. So I went back into the house, changed my pads, changed my undies, and then it just happened again, and we're halfway to the hospital. Not a great feeling to sit here and get your pants wet, but yeah, interesting. Never experienced this in my life. And it's 4 o'clock and it's
Last one was almost 5.
Yeah, it's almost 5. It's like traffic. Things you experience. Chilling, been getting some cramps, some contractions, waiting for the OB to come and then see what happens. But I think we might have to go home, maybe, my guess. Really? Just wanted to hop in here to give a little explanation on what happened afterwards, because everything was 0 to 100, so I didn't get to explain much. As I was saying, I thought that we were going to go home, or we were going to be sent home, but not long after, the OB arrived and gave us 2 choices. So one was to go home and just wait for the contractions to become more intense. At the time I was getting cramps, but they were saying it's not strong enough, so I could go home and wait for the active labour to come in, which could be 2 days, it could be 3 days. She even said 4 days, which is crazy. And the other option was to get a certain drop, which moves the contractions or makes the contractions stronger and gets everything started and get the baby today. So if we do go home, the caveat is that I may need antibiotics because my water has already broken, so that infection and all the stuff might start getting into the body, which might also affect the baby, so I may need antibiotics. Or the option is just get those drops, which are pretty harmless, and they give you drops every hour at 1 ml an hour, and it will just somehow intensifies your contractions. But because we were very sleep deprived and we also didn't expect these type of questions, and it was only 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, we didn't sleep much the night before. It did take a long time for us to decide, because at the same time I'm a person who likes to try and be as natural as I can and take the natural approach. So I didn't really want antibiotics, but then I wasn't sure what these drops were. So we're really just trying to understand that. Plus at the same time, our OB also needed to rush off to operation, so we had to decide. So we're and ahhing for a little bit, just asking more questions to the OB, and they were all very patient with us. And in the end, at 5:45, we decided to have the baby that day. And actually, that day that my water broke was actually his official due date, so he came on time. Now back to my story. Because we haven't eaten, the nurses gave us breakfast before we started the drops. But soon after, I started feeling more of these cramps, and it started to build up quite strong. I think at this time, my hormones has dropped so much that I felt a little sick in my stomach, and maybe because the organs have also dropped now that there's no water holding everything in place. I was surprised that I projectile vomited twice. Back again with some more explanation. So after breakfast, I ended up only getting one session of those drops, so only 1 ml. The nurse told me that for me, she'll only give me really low dosage. And I think even before I got the drops, contractions started coming in, and at that time it was 3 centimeters dilated. And after breakfast they checked again and I was 6 centimeters dilated, and the contractions at that point was pretty painful. So outside of that drop, everything progressed naturally, and I went from 6 centimeters to ready to push within 10 minutes. And what I was gonna say is that 6 centimeters dilated, I was asking for the epidural because it was so painful to the point I couldn't control how I wanted to move my body, and like there was just nothing that can just move the pain away, as much as I was just telling my mind to push through it, to sit through it, to breathe through it. Nothing could push that pain away. And the nurse is like, yeah, you're at 6, there might still be some time before you're ready to push. And as she said that, I was like, okay, I want the epidural. And then as she also said that, I guess the nurse noticed that my pain got increased, and she checked again and she was like, you're ready to push. And that was only 10 minutes apart since she checked for the 6 centimeter, which is crazy. And in the end, because it happened so fast, the anesthesiast was stuck in the previous theater with an operation, so they didn't even end up coming, so I couldn't get the epidural. So I ended up pushing without the epidural. But one thing that surprised me was that pain I felt when it was 6 centimeters dilated was a lot more painful than when I was actively pushing. And what the nurse explained was because I'm actually doing something with the contractions and I'm pushing a baby out, it makes it more bearable. Whereas like when you're trying to hold it in and not push and just work with the pain and do all this stuff at the same time while your body's like crushing your internals and pushing something, but you're trying to reject the push, it is a lot harder. And when people ask me what it was like with no epidural, I always tell them it would probably be the most painful thing I felt in my life, but it wasn't as painful as I thought, especially when I was actively pushing and feeling that pain actually wasn't as bad as when I was 6 centimeters dilated. But what got me was just the endurance part, because you're doing it as long as you need to until the baby comes out. And for me, it was 2 hours. I was getting pretty tired. I was flipping around, moving to different positions, and at one point I was kind of like on my knees but holding onto the bed, so that was really tiring. It really is running a marathon or like doing some heavy lifting, crazy as like fitness with like everything mixed together, doing the Olympics or something. It's hectic, but it was an experience. And 2 hours later, we ended up here. My husband was my comfort zone, and every time I had a contraction when I was pushing, I was holding onto his arm, but I didn't realize I was sliding at the same time, which ended up scratching him. And now we joke that we both went through the pain together. But So happy that our little beans is now here. The moment when he arrived was so surreal. We were just in so much awe. We were so tired, but we just couldn't stop looking at our child that we both created together. Baby and a groovy. How are you feeling first day post baby? Yeah, you never finish explaining why you felt emotional, and if you thought about it, it would cry. Is it because you're like, you couldn't believe that we actually made a baby?
Yeah, because it's like such an emotional moment in your life, and you see, I think it's like two things. You see your wife cop a massive squat and the struggles of it, and then I think the second part is when he comes out
and you realize he's like a real deal.
Yeah,
he's like a real thing, like the life of us two, literally.
Yeah.
If you think about it now, would you still cry or want to cry?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Why?
In terms of like expectations, I thought it would feel foreign where you're like, I don't know what to do, which to an extent we all don't know what to do, but it's like, it just feels nice and it makes you feel happy to hold your own baby. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I smell food.
Yeah.
Lunch is at 12. Friends are coming today. Excited. My neck hurts. Actually, day 2, day 1, whatever, post-birth updates, everything is sore. My neck is sore, my shoulder is sore, my, what's this? Chest, lat, pec, shoulder, something is sore, my back is sore. Surprisingly, down there is not as sore as everything else. And yeah. Anyways, that is the update. My abs sore, actually. And when they say that it's a whole new kind of love, it is true. And no matter what happens, and before you even know his personality, who he is, we both already have so much love for this little guy. And what we love so far is his gentle little cry, no matter how hysterical his cries are trying to be, but they are just so adorable. Also, the little sounds that he makes that ends up sounds like little squeals, and even opening and closing the door reminded me of his little squeals. It's these little things and these little habits that we picked up over the few days that we stayed in hospital, and as we get to know him, has just brought us closer and loving him more and more each day.